So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Week 2 of Detroit Lions OTAs are officially complete, and we have a lot more information about the 2022 Detroit Lions, from offensive standouts, defensive stands, and rookie players that are starting to find their place in the NFL. There's a ton of information coming out of Allen Park regarding the second week of OTAs, and today we are going to go over all of it. From Jared Goff and his success so far at OTA, some of the chemistry that he's building with his wide receivers, and as I said, a rookie standout or two are also starting to appear. But with all that being said, and with all that out of the way, let's get straight into taking a look at Detroit Lions OTA Week 2. Now first, we're going to start on the offensive side of the ball, where Jared Goff is looking to be a much better quarterback in year 2 than he was in year 1, right? He seems to have more confidence. He seems to be more confident in his players and in his own ability. He's making tight window throws. He's making high pressure throws. He's making deep throws down the football field. And Jared Goff simply looks like a different quarterback in the 2022 Detroit Lions roster than he did in 2021, right? In 2021, even dating back to OTAs, right, you didn't hear about Jared Goff making tight window throws. You didn't hear Jared Goff making some incredible throws down the field, right? Pushing the football or, threading the needle between defenders, right? It was open stuff. It was easy stuff. It was, I think, the Lions trying to build Jared Goff's confidence from where it was after the Los Angeles Rams trade. But this year, with all the weapons that he had and the way Jared Goff finished the 2021 NFL season, he has his confidence back, and he is starting to really impress a lot of people at Detroit Lions OTAs. As I said, multiple tight window throws, multiple really accurate shots down the field to Amon-Ra St. and DJ Chark. He's developing a really good chemistry so far with a lot of different wide receivers, including number 1 DJ Chark is the number 1 guy he's been throwing to all of OTAs so far. Him and Jared Goff and DJ Chark have matched up, and they have paired up for a couple really big plays down the field, multiple explosive plays, and multiple tight window passes, right? The chemistry isn't 100% there, obviously, because they've only been playing for a couple of weeks, but their chemistry is coming along pretty quickly, and they seem to be connecting on a lot of big plays in Detroit Lions OTAs. Another player that's really continuing his chemistry with Jared Goff is the player that kind of saved the downfield passing for the Lions a season ago. Josh Reynolds, going into his second year with the Detroit Lions, but going into his 5th or 6th year with Jared Goff as his signal caller and his quarterback. They have a really good connection, right? They have a good chemistry. Jared Goff has been throwing to Josh Reynolds a lot throughout their NFL career, right? He was one of their top targets in Los Angeles, and once he joined the Detroit Lions, he was one of the Lions' top targets a season ago, really expanding and opening up the downfield passing windows for the Lions a season ago, with their first big 20-plus yard touchdown coming on Thanksgiving due to Josh Reynolds beating his defensive back down the field and Jared Goff having the opportunity to really air the football out in the last couple weeks of the NFL season, which coincidentally is where you saw statistically Jared Goff make a huge jump, was after the bye week, after Josh Reynolds was signed, and he didn't really play versus the Browns or the Steelers because he was still learning the system, still learning the plays, but once he kind of got familiar with the system and once he kind of got, good with the coaches and the play calling, he turned into a very solid wide receiver 1 for the Detroit Lions, as he simply had chemistry with Jared Goff and they connected a lot down the field. He and Jared Goff are continuing to build that connection, and they seem to have a pretty good one so far in OTAs as well. Amon-Ra St. is also having a very good camp. Right after his rookie season, a lot of people expect Amon-Ra St. to break break out, have just a 1,000-yard season, and be a top wide receiver in the NFL at this point. And for all the things that he did good a season ago, Amon-Ra St. Brown has gotten better this offseason, specifically in his footwork and in his route running, right? Last year, he was not a bad route runner, right? Last year, he created separation, showed his strong hands, showed his yard after catch ability. He showed everything you would ever want to see out of a wide receiver like himself. But one of the big things the Lions emphasized this season for Amon-Ra St. Brown was the route running, was the footwork, and maybe being a little bit cleaner and a little bit quicker in your breaks to create just a little bit more separation, right? Pushing him to be better from where he already is, and that is what Amon-Ra St. Brown has done this offseason. Early in training camp and early in OTAs, it is very, very clear that Amon-Ra St. Brown has put a lot of work into his footwork and a lot of work into his route running in the offseason. It looks a little bit cleaner, a little bit sharper, and much quicker than it was a season ago, and that was on full display in the second week of OTAs especially, and in particular one comeback route that was so clean it made the defender fall over because he simply just broke the route off so hard that the defender didn't even have time to react before Amon-Ra St. Brown had the football in his hands. If Amon-Ra St. Brown can go from, a rookie with 90-something catches and almost 1,000 yards being a top 5 rookie wide receiver in his draft class, right? I'd say right now Amon-Ra St. Brown is a borderline top 32 wide receiver. If he can add some elite route running to his game, right, on top of the strong hands, on top of the yak ability, he can legitimately turn into one of the better wide receivers in the NFL. And you might be talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown as a top 20 wide receiver come the end of the season if he continues to improve and if his route running is anything like what we're seeing in OTAs right now. Now, the offense is not the only team starting to make some plays, as the defense has come up with multiple turnovers and multiple big time sacks so far in different team drills. Kerby Joseph in particular has been the most impressive rookie in the secondary so far, and arguably has been the most impressive secondary member thus far in OTAs, coming away with a big interception off of Tim Boyle where his instincts and his range were completely on display. Kerby Joseph jumped a route in 7-on-7s and picked off Tim Boyle with a very impressive interception. And during the following practices, I don't remember if it was 4-on-4, 7-on-7, 11v11, or whatever the case may be, he was very nearly close to a second interception on the backup quarterback. His instincts seem to be developing pretty well, which is really the big problem that people had with him, right? That he was raw and didn't really have the instincts to play at the NFL level yet. He seems to have those instincts right now, and obviously it's 11v11, and obviously it's not full speed, it's not, it's not NFL games yet, but it is very clear that he has been paying attention to his coaches, and it's very clear that his coaches already are having an impact on how Kerby Joseph is seeing the game, and it's allowing him to jump passes, and it's allowing him to get his hands on the football, which is what we want to see out of our secondary members. Will Harris is another player that is starting to turn some heads at OTAs, and I feel like we say this every single year about Will Harris, but he seems to have found his place in the NFL, and that is at boundary cornerback. Will Harris was playing in place of the injured Jeff Okudah as he was playing the boundary cornerback with the first team and played very, very well. I mean, was absolutely shadowing multiple different wide receivers, essentially running routes for them, and it's very clear that Will Harris has been watching tape. It's very clear that Will Harris's instincts are a little bit better, and as much as we like to hate on Will Harris, he did play much better a season ago, right? Was he perfect? No. Was he even a top 32 safety in the NFL or a top 64 safety in the NFL? I wouldn't say so, right? There's a reason he was the most targeted safety in the NFL, and there's a reason he gave up over 700 yards in coverage a season ago, because he still wasn't great. But the improvement was certainly there for Will Harris under just 1 year with Aaron Glenn and Aubrey Pleasant, and I truly believe that a second year will help him develop even more, especially now that he's kind of starting to find a little bit more of a role at cornerback and then safety. I think him making that transition, being a little bit more comfortable in a position that he seems to be more natural at, is something that is helping him develop. But like I said, he's been very good, very fluid in coverage. He jumped a really nice route on Amon-Ra St. Brown and very nearly originally picked off Jared Goff as a first string corner, right? If it wasn't for a really nice defensive play by Amon-Ra St. Brown, it very nearly would have been a pick and maybe even a pick six on the play. He's been reading routes. He's been basically running these routes for the wide receivers, and he has shown play recognition and explosiveness so far that we haven't really seen out of Will Harris since his absolutely phenomenal preseason game as a rookie, right? Ever since that Texans game as a rookie, he just hasn't really played all that well. Got a little bit better towards the end of last season, but now it seems like he's really starting to find his foothold in the NFL, and that may be at corner instead of safety this year. Now, a surprising name that I wasn't expecting to hear about at OTAs was Jashon Cornell, the former seventh round defensive tackle from Ohio State. He has been taking first team reps in the absence of Michael Brockers and has played really well, has multiple pass breakups, right? Has multiple passes batted at the line of scrimmage, and actually on the last day of OTAs yesterday had a game and a drive ending sack as the Detroit Lions were working on 2-minute drills, right? The Lions first string offense was down, I think 24-20. They had to drive 70 yards down the field to get a touchdown in a minute 30, and although the offense drove and although they made some really nice plays down the field, the drive eventually ended when Jashon Cornell beat Pro Bowl guard Jonah Jackson for the game-sealing sack, and eventually time ran out, and Jashon Cornell was the big reason as to why the defense won that scrimmage. Jashon Cornell has been putting up some pretty good production so far at OTAs, right? Just looking really good, really solid, showing some good quickness, showing some good explosiveness, and we haven't really seen Jashon Cornell do anything at the NFL level yet as he tore his Achilles in his rookie season, but he seems to be back and better than ever, and he is very much a roster bubble player that could make the roster and could be one of those surprise guys to make the roster if he continues to perform throughout OTAs, training camp, and the preseason. Now, it's not all good at Lions training camp, as they do have one player that is continuing to struggle in both weeks of OTAs, and that player is Tim Boyle. Tim Boyle, the backup quarterback, and the quarterback that started 3 games for the Lions this season ago, throwing 3 touchdowns, I believe, and 6 interceptions, is not having the best OTA practices right now. He missed multiple deep throws yesterday, missed a lot of different throws, underthrew Khalif Raymond on a deep shot, threw a really bad interception. I mean, just missed a lot of passes. And that is kind of what he played like in the NFL last year. I mean, we all know that Tim Boyle is not the quarterback of the future in Detroit, right? He's a backup for a reason, and even in scripted OTA plays, he is currently being outperformed by David Blau, and right now looks like he might not even make the roster because of the way he's been playing so far in OTAs. If he can't even play against the second string defense and a bunch of rookies and he's throwing picks, I think it's going to be hard for him to make the roster unless something really, really severe changes in the next couple of weeks. But he is really the only player so far that is struggling at OTAs. The biggest takeaway, though, this week as a team is just the pressure that the Detroit Lions are continuing to generate on the Lions offensive line, right? We know how good the Lions offensive line was. They were top 10 a season ago, even though they had a rotating door at pretty much every single position, right? Decker missed some time, Ragnall missed a lot of time, Jonah, got subbed out and subbed in a little bit. Big V didn't play every snap at right guard. Penei Sewell didn't play every snap at right tackle, right? It was a rotating and shifting offensive line constantly throughout the 2021 season, and yet they still finished as a top 10 unit in the NFL. With top 5 expectations this year, the Lions offensive line is the strength of the team. However, early in OTAs, it seems like the defensive line is continuing to win that battle. Aiden Hutchinson, Jashon Cornell, Aleem McNeil, Levi Onwuzurike are all continuing to get pressure on the starting offensive line, and that may be concerning from the fact that the Lions offensive line isn't playing up to standard right now, but I think it's more positive in the way that the defensive line is finally starting to take shape, right? Whereas last year in OTAs, they couldn't really do anything versus the Lions offensive line. This year, they're continuing to get pressure. They're continuing to push guys into the backfield. And although I wouldn't say the defensive line is dominating the offensive line right now, I think they've won more battles than they've lost, and they are continuing to pressure the quarterback over and over and over in 11-on-11 and 2-minute drills as they continue to work on it. So with that being the case, that is really all the news we have out of OTAs. The offense looks really good. Jared Goff looks sharp and confident. He's building chemistry with all of his wide receivers right now, but the defensive line is pressuring him a lot, and the defensive line has gotten very close to numerous game and drive ending sacks throughout the 2-minute drills and throughout the 11v11 scrimmages. Rookie Kirby Joseph is standing out above the rest of his rookie classmates, and Tim Boyle is continuing to struggle. But with all that being said, that is all we have for you guys today. That is all the news we have out of week 2 of OTAs. Let me know down in the comments below what you take away from this news. Are you concerned about the offensive line giving up pressures? Are you confident in Jared Goff going into the season now that he looks more confident and calm than ever? Be very curious what you guys think. But with all of that being said, that is all for you guys today. Thank you all so very much for watching, and until next time, and as always, go Lions.